Hello, everybody. Stephen King here. I'm going to be doing a review on one of my books. Oh, just kidding. It's just me, Z3KO Trinity. If you really thought that was Stephen King, well, it's about as fake as this review is. This here is really Stephen King. I'm not really Stephen King, guys. Well, could be his biological son. We look alike, don't we? Hold on. Alright. But anyway, we're doing a book review on his short story called The Langoliers, okay? The Langoliers is a very, very good story about time itself. But let's start from the beginning of time, shall we? This book is about a midget named Veronica. And this midget was a blind midget. She was also a Filipino blind midget. Anyway, her and her stepmother were going on a plane ride to this little place called the hospital, where she's going to have some kind of miracle surgery that's going to make her white. And they already told her that she couldn't see. Being blind, is just that's it. But she could be white. So she's on her way to the hospital to become white. And on this plane, she boards this plane, everything's all good, and then it cuts through to different people on the plane. Like the plane driver himself, his name is Alan. He got fired on the job because he was drinking. And so he's like, you know what? Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all to hell. And he was like, I'm going to fly this plane anyway. Even though I am drunk. Even though I am psychotic. So he ends up flying the plane. And without even realizing it, when everyone's on the plane, the midget falls asleep. And everyone falls asleep except for like 6 people. They go through, and the plane driver crashes into the time gate. And when he crashed into the time gate, it actually sent them flying 10 seconds in the past. That's right. But instead of seeing people there in 10 seconds back, instead of him saying, I'm great, fuck y'all, instead of him saying that, there was like nothing. No one, nothing. So he was flying a plane, he's like, oh shit, I screwed up big time. And these people who are awake are the only ones on this plane. Everyone who fell asleep vanished. They were all like John Cena. They just gone. And they left everything behind, like, wigs, pacemakers, penis enlargers. I mean, they left everything behind. Only 6 people were left on this plane. You had the crazy driver, the little midget. You had this one guy who has a sexual appetite for apples. Like, every time he eats them, he has to, like, grind on his nipples. He's like, apple a day, an apple a day. An apple a day keeps these nipples away. But he ends up being, like, one of the main villains of the whole thing, but we'll get to that here in a second. Then you got this writer who thinks he knows everything because he's a writer. His name was Stephen as well, so that's kind of cool that Stephen King added himself into the story. But he was like, oh yeah, well, we crashed into the time continuum and we went back 10 seconds into the past, and the Langoliers are going to come and they're going to like destroy the whole world, and we're all pretty much screwed. And then, of course, the blind midget's like, how do you know that? And he goes, I just made that shit up. I'm high right now. But, they're traveling on. You got this prostitute on there. They had this hitman guy on there. They had this hit prostitute woman on there. She's kind of like a hitman and a prostitute. Like, she sleeps with the corpses after she kills them. It's kind of weird. But, yeah, they fly into this town. And they get off the plane. And they're like, y'all hear that? There's, like, no sound whatsoever. They just start freaking out. The blind girl says, I don't see anything. I mean, it's pandemonium. It's chaos. And these people want answers, and they want it now. So they're continuing to walk through, and this one guy, he's like real heavy set. I'm talking really big. Like, if you look at El Manuel, he is that big. But, yeah, he's like, I'm hungry! Feed me! And, so he gets, like, this little sandwich out of this, refrigerator. He takes a bite of it, he starts spitting it out, and he's like, this sandwich doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't taste like cardboard, it doesn't taste like motor oil, it doesn't taste like fish sticks, it doesn't taste like Applebee's, it doesn't taste like Simomium jelly. I mean, it has no taste to it whatsoever. It's like he's eating air. I mean, what can he... Like, then he decided to take a big old swig of alcohol, and he spits it out, and he's like, ugh, this is diet. And he throws it away. But, they just realize that everything is all screwed up, and they don't know what to do. Well, the guy who's sexually appealing to apples, his dad was abusive to him. Like, he would, shove an apple in his face while punch him in the stomach. And he also tickled his pickle. His little pickle that he had. It's not his wing. Get that shit out of your minds, guys. He had a pet pickle, okay? And he tickled it, okay? Jesus Christ. Like, if you don't believe me, ask him himself. He's right here. But they continue on, and they realize there is some kind of noise. And they hear, and they're like, what is that noise? And the rider guy, he's like, oh, that's Langoliers. They're coming, they're going to erase everything, and we have to get back on the plane and try to fly back through that time gate that we kind of crashed into, and that'll bring us back and back where we need to be. And they're like, how do you know that? And he's like, I don't know, I'm high right now. But, yeah, the story continues. The guy, his father was abusive, and he had to get to this meeting because he was going to be the next contestant on American Idol. And he really couldn't sing, but he thought he was going to win, so he really needed to be at that audition. And so he ended up grabbing the blind kid and has the knife to him, and he's like, don't do... And everybody's like, whoa, calm down, we can talk this through. And he's like, no we can't, we need to get back on this plane, we need to get shit together, I need to be on there. And the blind girl suddenly has this telepathic connection to the guy. He slowly puts the knife down, picks up an apple, bites into it. It had a worm in it, and he died right there. Right on the spot. And they don't know where he got the apple. They don't know how that worm survived. But, yeah. I mean, she saw it coming. She tried to warn him. But, yeah. But anyway, they started hearing the noise a lot louder, and they realized, oh, hey, we could just get up back on the plane and go back, to where we came. So they're all aboard in the plane, and they're hearing, and, They see them, and they look like very small Levi wards. And they're like, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel. I'm everywhere, I'm in about your ammunition. And they all just start, like millions of them, they're just a million of them. It's like over 900 some thousand of them. That is more than one of them. But yeah, I was on the edge of my seat, like I was like literally over the edge, and I'm like, oh God, they need to get back in the plane. Those Langoliers are gonna get them. The Langoliers are gonna get them. And they ended up getting back on the plane, and they are flying back through, and they see the time gate. And the guy's like, we need to get through there. And they realize, wait a minute. We were awake when we went through. Everyone else was asleep. That's why we survived. I bet you anything we need to be asleep this time. And they're like, let's ask the writer because he might know. And he's all like, that makes sense to me, man. Does anybody got a bag of chips or something? And so they're like, okay, we all should just go to sleep and see what happens. Well, the one guy, the hitman guy, he's like, no. One of us needs to stay awake so we can make sure that we can fly the plane straight into it. We can't afford to just miss it. And he's like, I've killed so many people. I've killed men, women, children, men. And he's like, I just can't deal with it anymore. He's killed men, women, women, men. He's killed women, women. I mean, he's killed them all. LGBT, LMNOP, ABCDs. He's killed them all. And he's tired of it. And he wants to repent for his sins. So he decides to stay awake. So they all fall asleep right before they hit the thing. The writer guy wakes up, ah! Which scares everyone awake. And they pass through the time portal. Thankfully, they all survived, because if they would have went to sleep, you know, they all would have disappeared as well. Because that logic is just bull. If you're awake when you go through the time portal and everyone else disappears, everyone knows when you go back through it, you have to do opposite. Duh. Even Stephen King's like, duh. Well, they ended up going back through. And they're looking around after they land, and they're like, wait a minute. Where is everybody? Only this time, they can hear sounds. They grab the sandwich, this big old hoagie, and they're like, oh, this actually tastes better than an actual sandwich does. And then they drink like a beer, and they're like, ooh! Tastes better than any beer they've ever had in their life. But big plot twist, they didn't go back into the right kind of time period. In fact, they went 90 years into the future. And then the Langoliers were there too, and they're like, what the fuck? And then they all ate them up, and everybody died at the end. But it was an awesome book nonetheless, because it is one of the most, it'll make you think. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, It's just one of those stories that really grab you and throw you at the same time. I mean, it's just, it. But it did say one last thing at the very end. I wasn't going to spoil it for you guys, but I might as well, right? The very, very end, it turned out that the Langoliers was actually one clown. He coughed, and 1,000 Levi wards popped out. And that's what the Langoliers are. I know, crazy, right? But that clown turned out to be Pennywise, and I turned out to be Stephen Hawking. But anyway, thank you guys so much for enjoying this story. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give this video a big like if I did a good job on it. If I did not, give it a thumbs down. And I'll find you and I'll... No, I'm just kidding. And nothing really more to say. I mean, Stephen King is a mastermind. He's a hypnotist of words. He is the king of all the Stephens. So thank you guys so much for watching. That was the Langoliers. Please comment below and let me know what the next book I should do for Stephen King. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Zeus kiss.